Reference input will let you pick a related entity inside a form. For instance, here I have a poster list. Each poster belongs to a category, and I have a list of categories here, which is powered by another API endpoint. What I want to do is in the poster edition form, I want to have a drop-down populated with the list of categories. I have written a select input here for this category ID item, but I don't know how to populate the choices here. So one thing I could do is to use useGetList, and I could query the categories page with useGetList, and then I would pass the data to the choices as the choices. That would need some plumbing because I would need to map the names, the IDs, etc. I would also need to fetch a little bit more because sometimes the current category ID is not in the list of categories that is fetched from useGetList because of pagination. For instance, here a list of categories doesn't show the current category of this post, which is water here. If I fetch only the first page, because water is in the second page. So if I fetch only the first 10 items, then I won't have water in it. So I need to fetch a little more than useGetList. I would also have to fetch the current record category ID with the useGetOne. I would also have to handle loading state. It's cumbersome. And besides, it's so common that React Admin has a utility for that, and it's called reference input. So reference input will take a source, just like regular input. It will also take a reference, and here the reference is the name of the related resource by the one-to-many relationship. And it wraps a select input, and the select input doesn't need to define the choices anymore. In fact, reference input will create a context that we call a choice context, and select input will read the choice context if it's available and use it for its choices. And now if I save and I reload the page, I can see that my select input has a drop-down properly populated with the categories. I can see that the categories here, some of the categories are disabled. This is because in the categories table, I have a disabled field, but a better user experience would be to hide these non-selectable items. So what I'm going to do is to add a filter prop here to filter out the disabled items. And now you can see that I have only non-disabled items, except water. I need this one even if it's disabled because it's the current value. So in this case, it's an error. It shouldn't have been selected in the first place, but you can see that autocomplete input will fetch more than the list of filtered categories. It will also fetch the current value. And while we are at formatting this list here, it would be better to have it in alphabetical order. So I'm going to pass a sort prop, which will be ordered by name ascending. And now it's properly sorted, and I can select another one. So it's great when I select it. Well, it's great, except these are lowercase category names. This is because the record here uses lowercase category names, but it's not really user-friendly. In the list as well, we have lowercase category names, so it would be better to change the way a category is represented in the list, and for that I'm going to change the record representation of a category. So here I'm in the category resource, and I can say that the record representation will be, if I receive, for instance, a record, it will call UC first of the record.name, and I have written this UC first here from category, so we're going to import UC first from categories. Is it UC first? Oh, I have to export it, sorry. And now if I save, something's wrong because I have a syntax error. Should be better now. So you see the results has a record representation of uppercase first of the record name, and now all the menu items have a lowercase name, and the same happens in the poster list here because it's the record representation in the entire app, so it's properly formatted. So the reference input takes a child, which is a regular select input. It can also be an autocomplete input, autocomplete input. And if it's an autocomplete input, then users will be able to type the first letters of a choice to filter the list. So if I type FL, it will only show flowers, and then I can select the flowers. And I also have this reset button here. So it's up to you whether you want a select input or an autocomplete input. For large lists, an autocomplete is preferable. And in fact, autocomplete input is the default selector for reference input. You can even omit it and have a reference input without child, and it works as well. It's exactly the same. I have this autocomplete input here. If I refresh, I have the same autocomplete. But usually you will use a child for reference input, because when you need to pass some props to the input itself, for instance, if you want to have a required category ID, here then you will need to pass the validate prop to the input itself. This works. The category is now compulsory, but if I move the validate to the reference input, it will not work, and TypeScript will not be happy, because reference input doesn't have a validate. It's not reference input, which is the real input. It's only fetching the choices for its child. And now I have this required category, non-nullable category ID. So that's it for reference input. It takes a source and reference, and then it will populate a choice context that its children, autocomplete input or select input or checkbox group input or radio button group input, will read to display the list of choices. And you will use very often in relational admins to select a one-to-many relationship. And there are similar components for array inputs, reference many input, many-to-many input, etc. So ReactAdmin has many inputs specialized in editing relationships, whether one-to-many, many-to-one, or many-to-many. That's it for today. Thanks for watching, and happy coding.